Before we jump into today's video, I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner for our little giveaway for a copy of Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. So what I did for this is I went through all of my comments, and the unique comments that were listed that asked to be entered into the giveaway, I went ahead and counted those up, put them in a random number generator, pressed generate, and it landed on 25. Going through the list, 25 is Logan Gaming. If you could go ahead and shoot me a DM on Discord, I can go ahead and sort out everything and make sure that it's all you and good, and I can send you that code. Anyways, let's jump into today's video, which is paying homage to a fallen comrade on YouTube. That is Mitten Squad. Rest in peace, Paul. I know he was working on this run, so I took it upon myself to go ahead and finish it out, since sadly he can no longer do it for us. Can you beat Skyrim with only practice arrows? So, to preface this, I actually started this run way back in December, right when they, did the update to Skyrim Anniversary Edition, literally like 3 days before that. So pretty much the entire game broke for me, and I was forced to wait for a lot of the mods to fix themselves, which wasn't too fun. But other than that, I just kind of left the project alone for a few months and resumed it in April. So I might be a little foggy on some of the details for the beginning of this recording, but other than that, we should be all good to go. Of course, starting out, I needed to escape Helgen and deal with Alduin, which was fun. Now, I can't really do anything as of right now because I don't have practice arrows. I am allowed to use any bow. Any bow is fair game, enchantments are fair game, all armor is fair game. I just cannot use any other ammunition besides practice arrows. See, the challenge comes with practice arrows doing a whopping 0 damage, so I'm relying on just the bow's raw damage, which, using bows in Skyrim, normally you use a multitude of arrows throughout your playthrough in order to get the most damage out of your bow. For example, I believe iron arrows add a solid 9 damage to your bow's base damage, so if you were using a longbow, you'd be at 19 damage to start with. That's not the case here, so for me, a longbow is just going to be doing 10 damage at the beginning of the game. To get practice arrows, you have to go find Angie and go ahead and talk to her. She's the archery trainer, well, one of them anyways, and she gives you practice arrows whenever you ask her. So, of course, I needed to get my practice arrows, drop them on the ground, and then pick them up again so that I could stack them. I did this for probably about 10 minutes, got myself 460 practice arrows, which I thought would be plenty for the entire playthrough. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. I would be coming back to restock on practice arrows multiple times throughout the run, so if you see me randomly go from, say, 150 practice arrows up to 280 or something, that's where they came from. I tried out my practice arrows on a bear cub, and I was doing a solid 13 damage with my longbow to start with, which was pretty terrifying. I went and found a random cave with some bandits in it and decided to take them all out to just kind of get a feel for bows, since I haven't played Skyrim in a very long time, and I wanted to go ahead and get some experience with the archery skill and hopefully give myself some extra damage. I'm gonna need it for this run. Stealth Archer is, of course, as overpowered as it always is in Skyrim, so I would be relying on sneak attacks for a lot of things throughout this playthrough, which it ends up being a godsend later on, as there are definitely some encounters that if I was just going, balls to the wall with damage, I would have lost. There is just no way that I would have enough damage or health to survive some of the enemies that they throw at me, because I play all games on my channel with difficulty enhancing mods installed, so there are higher level enemies or new enemy types that are present in pretty much every game that I play, whether it's Fallout 4, Skyrim, New Vegas, whatever it may be. I have mods that increase the difficulty. Of course, with that being said, I was getting clapped in certain scenarios. I can recall one area where I had a level 20 Draugr at the very beginning of the game. I believe it was in Bleak Barrow, which wasn't fun. Also, some of the Draugr in here are already level 6 to level 10. I think I was level 3 when I came in here, so I was basically just stuck doing absolutely no damage to some of the enemies, or they just had so much health and did so much damage that I was dying. I believe I was playing on normal for the majority of the playthrough. I had to switch up some of the difficulty settings later on due to a bug with survival mode that happens, but I'll get to that later because that's a so fun part of this playthrough. The Restless Draugr in Bleak Barrow were kind of scary. They have 150 health, and with me doing, 13 to 15 damage, it wasn't working out too well in my favor, but I did manage to get through almost all of the Draugr without too many issues, made it to the Golden Key puzzle, and then it was time to progress to the Draugr Overlord. The Draugr Overlord is basically just a slightly stronger Restless Draugr, so it really wasn't that bad of a deal. I just kind of kited him around the area until he died. I ended up going through quite a bit of practice arrows just for Bleak Falls Barrow, which was pretty surprising to me. I went outside and immediately got jumped by a dragon, and this is right around when they updated the game because I took a little bit of a break, came back, relaunched the game, and then I had incessant crashes about every 5 minutes. This was pretty terrible for me back in December because I kind of just scrapped the idea and I wasn't really going to do it for a while until I knew all of the mods were fixed, and then I just got kind of busy and didn't really upload for a while, and here we are in April and I'm finally finishing out the challenge. I can say that there are a multitude of projects that I've kind of done that to, and I kind of feel bad about it because I try to finish pretty much every single video I start unless the idea is just absolutely terrible and not working. But this one, I feel like I had to do. It's just to pay respects to an absolute pillar of the challenge running community, especially with the Bethesda games. Mitten Squad was pretty much the one responsible for starting all of these videos, in my opinion. He's kind of the first one that really blew up years ago doing all these challenge videos, and he became such a staple in the community that it's just kind of not the same without him anymore. Everybody's trying to kind of process everything, and I know there's a bunch of people I've seen that can't even watch his videos anymore because it just saddens them, and I understand that completely. I'm almost the same way, and it's kind of sad knowing that there were projects that he stated he wanted to do but never finished. If I remember correctly, he gave up doing practice arrows only in favor of doing the Dragonborn DLC without taking damage, which is kind of sad because now we're never going to get to see what his playthrough of this challenge would have looked like. And obviously I'm no replacement, that's for sure, but I'm going to do my best to kind of pay respects where I can and hopefully give this challenge the honor it deserves in paying respects to Paul, because he obviously is no longer here to do this. But moving on, by this time I've went ahead and grabbed the Elven Bow down in the companion's house to give myself a nice little boost in damage. This is pretty much the second best bow I'm going to have for the entire playthrough. I used this almost to the end. I think I was like level 15 by the time I switched over my bow, and it's because I found a guaranteed spawn for an even better bow, which we'll get to later. By now, I had to obviously go over to the Greybeards and just do a lot of dialogue. I kind of forgot how much dialogue and just talking there is in Skyrim in between all the combat sections. And it's kind of weird because, you know, coming from New Vegas, which is the primary game I play, it feels like in New Vegas I'm doing almost nothing but combat whenever I'm doing a challenge run. But maybe it's because I just get through New Vegas so fast compared to Skyrim. I think this playthrough took me like 9 hours, whereas an average New Vegas run takes me about 2.5. So I don't know. Could just be a weird little thing with me not being used to Skyrim. I don't play Skyrim as much as I play Fallout, so I'm probably just not used to the gameplay loop with Skyrim. I did do some enchanting and picking up some supplies. Obviously, enchantments are allowed, as they just give me a little bit of an extra edge. I just opted to put a little bit of shock damage on my bow, which was insanely helpful because the next area I went into had level 20 Draugr. This was absolutely terrifying. Ustengrav is not really an area that I want to deal with level 20 Draugr in because I'm pretty sure I got two-shot by almost all of them. I think this was the last recording I did before the update happened, and I had to just kind of shelve the idea for a few months. I was just pretty much playing through the crashes, quick saving every 5 minutes, and hoping that the game didn't bug out too much on me. I don't even know why Bethesda decided to update the game randomly, but here we are. I'm also stuck scrapping a few Fallout runs now because they just updated Fallout 4 today, so thank you Bethesda for that and not, you know, letting me just keep my mods in order. Anyways, I found the note which told me that Delphine had the horn of Jurgen Windcaller, and I had to go pick that up from her, blah blah blah, dealing stuff with the blades. I of course managed to just steal from her in the first encounter because, well, it's free. The game didn't tell me I couldn't have it, so I'm assuming that it's mine for free. Anyways, the dragon was kind of a pushover, honestly. I expected him to have more health for a level 10 dragon, considering I got absolutely clapped by the level 20 dragon, not even an hour before this. I absorbed his soul after killing him. I didn't really have anything to spend it on. I was just going to kind of save it for story purposes because there's not really any shouts that I'm going to be allowed to use, except for become ethereal here and there to, you know, skip fall damage sections. After this, it was time to go to the Thalmor Embassy, which is probably my least favorite section of the game. It's just very, very boring. I tried to stop an execution in town, which didn't go in my favor. The guards promptly ended my life, and I don't understand why. I was just helping them do their jobs. The Thalmor Embassy is just kind of lame. I mean, it's a decent little quest, I guess, but it's just more of a road bump on the main quest than anything. I just kind of abused stealth crits to kill all the Thalmor because I didn't feel like just, you know, having a one-on-one I can't really say gunfight. This isn't Fallout, a bow fight with anybody in the Thalmor Embassy, although I did kind of get into that with one of the wizards, which wasn't really that fun. I honestly haven't played Skyrim in so long, I forgot where the enemy placements are in there, so I spent like 5 whole minutes just trying to figure out what corners everything was hiding behind, but it was pretty simple. I, for some reason, didn't have any of the guards spawn down below, so it was pretty much over after that, and I was off to Riften to find Esbern. Of course, there's more Thalmor down here, because why wouldn't there be? Which I promptly dispatched, and along with a few random raiders. Kind of gives me flashbacks to my conjured weapon video, because it was just, you know, what I was doing down there last time I saw the Thalmor. Also, somebody's gonna give me a comment saying that they hate the way I pronounce that word, and I agree. I just don't process the way that word pronounces for some reason. I had like 8 comments on my last Skyrim video about that word's pronunciation, and I still feel bad about it. But I can't go back and change it. I'm not re-commentating over all that footage again. After this, I took a little break. I'm not sure where I went or what I was doing, but it was time for me to head off on to the next main quest, which was, of course, going and finding Skyhaven Temple. Skyhaven Temple was very interesting. I had about 4 crashes around the area and had to refight all of the enemies outside like 4 different times because the game just was not really working for me. I don't know why, it just felt like giving me issues. Also, there was a level 50 mini-boss here that I just sat on a hill and shot. I was nearly out of practice arrows by the time I went into Skyhaven Temple, but luckily there weren't too many more enemies inside, so I wasn't too worried about dealing with everything else. I did happen to light myself on fire, which wasn't really a fun experience. I did nearly die because I kind of forgot how this puzzle works, but I just kind of ignored it and went and cut my life into pieces over at the well so that I could reveal everything inside, which meant, of course, that I could go steal some shit and sell it for gold. I don't know why I'm such a loot goblin every time I play Skyrim, but I pick up pretty much anything that's not nailed to the ground and just sell it. There's no scrap system like Fallout, so pretty much everything just goes in my pockets to be sold for later. I kind of wish Elder Scrolls 6 would implement a system like Fallout 4 where you can maybe modify your gear, maybe scrap down steel blades to change the hilt of your weapon, or change the blade to tempered or something. That might be kind of an interesting little system. I hope something like that is in Elder Scrolls 6. I have no idea what Bethesda's going to do with it, but if that happens, 28 years from now, I'm taking credit because you heard it here first. This is my idea, I'm trademarking it, and if Bethesda does anything with it, I'm suing them. Anyways, time for me to go meet Parthenax, go back to the Greybeards, try to learn Dragonrend, blah blah blah. This section is pretty boring. It was just kind of time for me to go do something else. The main quest was kind of boring me at this point, so I went and fought high-level Draugr so that I could get a guaranteed ebony bow spawn. I had no idea that there was an ebony bow in this cave. I was just kind of looking around the wiki for easy bows, and I found a really old GameFAQs article from like 2012 or some shit that was like, hey, there's an ebony bow in this specific cave, and I was like, bet, we're going over there and grabbing that, because I was kind of feeling the power creep at this point and feeling that I wasn't doing enough damage, so I went and grabbed the ebony bow, enchanted it, and then it was time to go do all the Dwemer shit. This is kind of weird, honestly. I don't really understand all the lore behind the Dwemer stuff, so I just kind of walk through here and kill shit and hope that I don't die. Half the time it was me almost getting clapped by dwarven spheres or the spiders, and I'm really glad that I decided to upgrade my weapon because these guys all had 200 plus HP and it was pretty terrifying. Usually I could take them out in one sneak attack, but sometimes it would take multiple arrows just to kill one enemy, which is crazy considering I have an ebony bow that is fully enchanted, but because practice arrows are completely worthless, I do basically no damage. I was doing maybe 40 damage at most here, and then maybe up to 50 with my shock, which honestly terrified me because I was hoping that I wouldn't just get absolutely creamed when I went to Alduin later. Spoiler alert, Alduin lost very hard. I kind of overestimate how hard Alduin is every single playthrough because, I'm assuming that the dragons are just going to be insanely OP, but they aren't. I wonder if there's any mods that overhaul the dragon combat to just make them absolutely terrifying. I get we're the Dragonborn and everything and we're supposed to just clap dragons for breakfast, but I kind of wish the dragons put up more of a challenge instead of just being glorified meat shields. Anyways, I headed back to the Throat of the World, read the Elder Scroll, and it was time for me to learn Dragonrend. I'm going to just skip over this because it's just a bunch of dialogue and me watching a few people get absolutely clapped. It was then time to fight Alduin for the first time. This is like a premiere match in MMA where they just kind of shit-talk each other and then one of them leaves and then the fight comes later. Alduin just kind of talked shit to me, kind of got clapped in the pre-fight interview, and then he left. And it was time for me to go deal with him in Sovngarde. Now, I, of course, had to deal with the best part in Skyrim, which is the treaty and the peace council and all that. We're just going to skip right over that because honestly, I take it back. I take it back. This is by far the most boring part of Skyrim. I hate having to run around the map, talk to a couple people, then go sit through 25 minutes of dialogue and make specific decisions. Like, you know what? I'll give them credit. It's a very, very nice quest if you're very interested in like the Civil War quest line and everything. But if you're just doing the main quest, man, is it such a road bump every single time. I absolutely despise having to do it every single time I play this game. Anyways, I trapped Udaving and went off to Skoldafen so that I could make my way to Sovngarde. This place terrified me, so I ran past pretty much every enemy in here. There was like level 30 to 50 skeletons, a bunch of level 20 Draugr. I did stop and kill some of the lower level enemies with some sneak attacks, just for the extra little bit of archery XP. Also, so I could maybe bank a level up before I got to Alduin's fight, just in case I needed the health. But I absolutely rushed the portal and entered Sovngarde without even dealing with the Dragonkin Priest, or whatever he's called, I kind of forgot his name, because I was not dealing with like 30 level 20 skeletons and a level 50 Dragon Priest. Not happening. Not doing it. I went to Sovngarde, talked to the heroes, and then it was time for the final showdown with Alduin, which, as I said earlier, was pretty pathetic. It was basically just Dragon Rend. He sits on the ground, I shoot like 5 arrows, then he goes back into the air, he's invincible, I hit him with Dragon Rend again once it's off cooldown, he comes back down, I shoot him with a couple more arrows, and that was practically it. I just did this for like 5 minutes, and then Alduin died. I did kind of want to do like bow bashing at the end of it just to kind of do some disrespect, but I wasn't sure if that breaks the rules or anything because it's damage that's not technically a practice arrow, so I just left it at that, and I beat Skyrim using only practice arrows. This run was pretty fun, honestly. I have never done a stealth archer playthrough of Skyrim, and as good as the sneak attacks were on this character, I cannot imagine doing them with like a full setup crossbow or a bow with actual good arrows. I kind of understand the whole stealth archer is just the most broken build in Skyrim now. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting the channel and letting me make content for you guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.